Hi guys, and welcome to the second ever live stream on Geek. And I am really excited for like loads of reasons. The first reason I want to say is that I've got an amazing guest coming on. Let's just get him straight away. You know him, I'm sure already. Azor Ahype himself. Do you want to introduce yourself, Kyle?
Hello, everyone. It's Azor Ahype. I hope all of you are doing fantastic in the chat. We are very excited to be hanging out tonight and chatting with you. And we got 2 super chats already, Mr. Indeed Geek. Karen Richmond and Crips of Winterfell. All right, man. We got to do some shout outs. Let's do them.
I'm so. First of all, thank you, Karen Cripps. That is amazing. I'm absolutely blown away. $2 $20 super chat straight. I hadn't said a word, and they came up already. That really means a lot. Yeah. So, shall we do a few quick shout outs? Who's there? Hank, I've seen. Phil Devereaux. Who else is around? I saw Adiakili earlier. Katrin, Mr. Monster. Who else have you seen, Carl?
Sonia, Nicola, of course, Karen and Crips who are in the chat. We have Phil, we have Michelle, we have Frankie Boy, and I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of more of you coming to join as well. So awesome. And Leslie Powell as well. Welcome, Leslie.
Excellent. Really excited to see you guys. Obviously, we'll come back in a bit and have another look at this. And of course, we'll if there are any super chat questions, then we'll prioritize them. Okay, so let's get right into it. We said this is going to be about Tyrion, and he is my favorite character. So Carl, best behavior, please. Let's just sort of break this one down. I've got a few theories that I just want to like run past you. I've got a few thoughts, but just first of all, where do you think overall his character arc is going?
Well, I think one of 2 things are going to happen. We had the conversation with Varys, obviously, where he talks about a small man can cast a very large shadow, and I think that's in reference to being Hand of the King. A lot of these Hands of the Kings have done a lot of the work. There's like Mad King Aerys went mad. Robert drank and had effed his way through his kingdom. And I think that we're gonna have 1 or 2 scenarios. One, we're gonna have a scenario where Tyrion is going to be supporting Jon or Daenerys if there is an Iron Throne, but he's going to be still almost like a king. Or we're going to have a scenario where both of those characters are not around and we have their child, and I think Tyrion would be the perfect king, like the king regent, I would say, the perfect person to groom them into royalty and teach them the lessons that they need to be taught. Now, I could kind of see a scenario where Samwell Tarly and Tyrion are both the ones telling the Song of Ice and Fire in the end, because they both kind of represent that Bilbo Baggins, George R.R. Martin type of personality. So I think Tyrion is going to survive the whole series 100%. He's one of my 3 people that I think are untouchable. And he's going to be – it would be great to see him become king in the end. I think other than Jon, he has the best possibility to rule what's left of Westeros.
Wow. Okay, so you're going straight in there with he might be king. That's a big start. Can we come back to that in just one moment? Because I want to get up to the end game on this one, and I've got thoughts on that. Can I start, though, with this idea of who he actually is? Now, there's this big theory out there that Tyrion might be... Whoa, we've got another super chat. Phil Devereaux, thank you so much. That's amazing.
Wow, you already got $50. Making it rain. Do I got some bills in my wallet so I can actually make it rain live on stream here?
That'd be amazing. So just for pronouncing Devereaux correctly. Well, I hope I did it again that time. Thank you so much. That's amazing. So make it rain. Excellent. So the question here is Tyrion secretly a Targaryen? Now, I've got views on this one, but I want to hear your views first.
I think that it's a yes, but I don't think it will ever be revealed.
Wow, okay.
So we know that Joanna Lannister was very well sought after by Mad King Aerys Targaryen, and it was insinuated that on Tywin's wedding night that Aerys tried to rape Joanna, or maybe even would have succeeded at doing that, right? So that's the first thing. And we can, there's a pretty big difference between the books and the show, but in the show we have that conversation where Tywin talks about bringing Tyrion into the sea, or he directly says to Tyrion, I didn't know if you were mine. Like, I didn't ever really think of you as my child, but you're a Lannister. You came from Joanna. So it's like, since Tywin loved Joanna so much, he accepted Tyrion, despite Tyrion killing Joanna in childbirth. Now we have this thing where Lyanna died in childbirth, Joanna died in childbirth, and Daenerys Rhaella died in childbirth as well, right? So that's kind of the signature thing that happens to the Targaryen mothers. They die in childbirth, and then we have this child left over. Now a lot of people think this has relation to the three heads of the dragon theory, which I think is probably the reason why people think that Tyrion is most likely a Targaryen. But there's a bunch of reasons to really think that he is. In the books, he has mismatched eyes, which kind of play off Jaime and Cersei's appearance. So, and Jaime is the Lannister, the Golden Lannister, and obviously the difference between Tywin and Tyrion. But the thing that sticks out the most for me is actually from the show. And it's when he's releasing Viserion and Rhaegal from the chains, and he's right there, very, very similar to the Drogon scene with Jon last season. So I think there's a high probability that Tyrion could be a Targaryen. If there's any other character that's left, it's going to be him or Jaime, I think, or Jaime and Cersei, or Tyrion. The irony of Jaime killing the Mad King, or the irony of Tyrion being a legitimate heir to the Iron Throne in the end, right? That's another twist that could possibly happen. But I think for the show purposes, I think it complicates things. I think they're just going to do the Daenerys and Jon being the secret Targaryen. But I could be completely wrong. That could be the other twist that we haven't seen yet, that Tyrion is a secret Targaryen.
I mean, I think on the show, I am completely with you that they're not going to go with this. It's they've not really teed it up at all. There was the conversation with Tywin. There was the thing with the dragons, but it wasn't. It's not ever really been hinted. It's not really been picked up. And normally they're quite heavy-handed with these kind of things if they're going to lead up to something. So I don't think in the show that we're going to get that. I think for the books, for me, the fact that their mothers died in childbirth is so thematically strong, and it's that you can draw all of the kind of the parallels between them. That not only did their mothers die in childbirth, but they didn't know their fathers, and they were all in some way sort of outcasts, sort of from the rest of the family. Were slightly distanced. So there's a lot of these kind of thematic links between the three of them, which knowing the detail that George R.R. Martin goes into can't be a coincidence. That I think that what he's trying to say is these are the three main characters, but I don't think that the dragon has three heads is really where this is going. If anything, I think the three dragon riders are going to be Dany representing fire, the Night's King representing ice, and Jon as like this balance of ice and fire, which is so those are the three there. That kind of leaves Tyrion to one side. So I think even if he is a Targaryen, I don't think he's going to be a dragon rider.
There's actually a quote I saved earlier because you gave me the three questions before the stream. Okay, this is what we're covering. Can I read actually a quote from Game of Thrones? It's a conversation between Jon and Tyrion.
The show or the first book?
The first book.
Go for it.
When I was your age, I used to dream of having a dragon of my own. Oh yes, even a stunted, twisted, ugly boy can look down over the world when he's seated on a dragon's back. I used to start fires in the bowels of Casterly Rock and stare at the flames for hours, pretending they were dragon fire. Sometimes I'd imagine my father burning, at other times my sister. Don't look at me that way, bastard. I know your secret. You've dreamt the same kind of dreams. So the fact that he's saying that he knows Jon's secret, a lot of people had these illusions that Jon might be a secret king in exile. You know, the Arthurian type of legend, being in exile, being raised by another monarch, that kind of thing going on. But that specific passage for me is very tricky, right? I mean, his fascination with dragons has always been a thing. There's another passage from A Dance with Dragons where Mokoro can see the future in the flames, and he goes, "Dragons old, young, and true, false and bright, true and false, bright and dark, and you, a small man with a big shadow, snarling in the midst of it all." So that's kind of in relation. They kind of gave that to Varys in the show, but those are the two things that really stuck out in the book, to where George might be kind of hinting that Tyrion is Targaryen.
Yeah, so that Mokoro thing, I actually interpreted in a different way, is that he's saying there are dragons everywhere, but you're in the middle here, and I think was it roaring, the word? Whatever it was, it made me think of lions, and I think he was trying to say that he's there in the middle. Yes, we've got this long shadow. I think that, and again, we'll come back to this later, I think that is a reference to the first book, when there's this wonderful scene when Jon and Tyrion are talking, and he casts a shadow, which was really tall and long, and made Jon think that looked like the shadow of a king. And
we got 2 more super chats, Robert. I got to stop you for a second. We got Winterfell dropped another 10, and Aaron dropped 20. We got $80 in under 15 minutes of going live here. So bravo, everyone. Wow. Let's get Robert. Let's keep the donation train going.
That's that's amazing. Thank you. That's brilliant. Slightly lost my train of thought, but yeah, we can. This is brilliant. Okay, so for me, there are clear hints, allusions, suggestions that maybe he is a Targaryen, but I don't think it's clear cut. And I think you might be right that it's the kind of thing that they'll go that George R. Martin might hint at but never reveal. It'll be a thing that we'll be thinking, well, maybe he was actually a Targaryen, but we won't know.
You know, another interesting thing too, and this goes back to after Bran woke up from when he got pushed out of the tower by Jaime Lannister, when he gives the schematics to Robb, and he's like, wow, like they're like shocked. They're like, you know, and Tyrion, you know, he always understood what was going on there. You know, I mean, we saw how he reacted with Joffrey, you know, slapping him. He's like, yo, there's got to be respect among families. You know, you can't just be acting like this. And I think Tyrion was trying to set an example, obviously, for Myrcella and all them and Joffrey, but, you know, obviously they were very young, so it's very hard to kind of understand these larger concepts that are at work with adults. But for him to do that for Bran, it was almost like it wasn't for Bran. It was setting up for Tyrion, like, hey, could Tyrion somehow design armored for a dragon or something for, I choked my teeth, something, I'm not dying, everyone, something for him to get on a dragon like that. I don't know. There's all these small little things, right? But that could be another thing, because Tyrion is so intelligent. And in the books, it really talks about his fascination with dragons, especially focusing on that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's right. You just recover yourself, have another drink, don't choke again. I think that's right. I think that in the books there are so many allusions to it. I think the schematic, the how to have a saddle thing, I think that was more a harking across to the cripples, bastards, and broken things. Kind of, this is Tyrion's heart for the people who are like the outcasts of society. And I think he had that heart for Jon because he was, in his eyes, he was a bastard. I think he had that for Bran because he could see that that he was paralyzed. And I think that he has that for other people that he comes across. So I don't think that was a specific foreshadowing of that he will design a saddle for him to go on a dragon. Though I like the idea, but I don't think that's what it was.
You know what's interesting too is Tywin's resentment of Tyrion is kind of similar to Catelyn Stark's resentment of Jon. Ever think about that? It kind of is, right? I mean, in A Feast for Crows, Jenna Lannister tells Jaime, "I said once to your father that Tyrion is Tywin's son, not you." And they're trying to play on that. Where like, oh, you know what I mean? Because Jaime wouldn't accept Casterly Rock and all of that stuff.
Yeah, but I've got a slight counter argument to this one, which is the way that I look at it. If you just purely look at the character of Tyrion, he is so much like his father. He's got the political brain, he's got the analytical, the slightly cold approach. Even with the idea of what happened with Shay, you see that actually secretly his father was just the same as him, but he didn't like that aspect of himself and he was hiding it. So what we've got here is that although Tywin rejected Tyrion, Tyrion actually was his trueborn son, and actually Tyrion was the person who took after him the most. It's just that he did not like himself, and so he did not like Tyrion.
Yeah, because I guess the representation of Tyrion's image reflected on Tywin, and he didn't like that. And I mean, also it was said that Tywin loved Joanna so fiercely. Like me and Gemma talked about this, and she mentioned it. She wore the pants in the relationship with Tywin. Imagine that. Like someone actually had, like, in that relationship, she was the alpha in that relationship. That's nuts. Because Tywin was, but maybe he always wasn't like the time when he was after her death. He might have been less sympathetic and empathetic, right? Because he lost the love of his life. I mean, I'm sure me and you could relate to that, or anyone in the chat could if we had something like that go down. We might be bitter about it, you know.
He did indeed, and again, there's another bit of echoing there, because yes, Tywin lost the love of his life, and he was never the same again. Tyrion tells the very same story about Tisha, I think was her name, the woman that he fell in love with, and after Tywin did terrible things to her, he was never the same again. And so I think that we get, again, there's another echo there. I mean, the thing that we haven't got time to go into this time because we're going to talk about Tyrion, but maybe another time, is that if you're looking at Tyrion has got so many of the characteristics of Tywin, have Jaime and Cersei? I don't think so. Who does Cersei most resemble? Actually, with a little bit of the burning Targaryens, but that's another thing. So if you were going to go for any of the Lannisters who resembled Targaryens, it probably for me wouldn't be Tyrion, other than the things we already mentioned.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if we're really going at it, Jaime and Cersei are more likely described to the silver hair and the purple eye, the golden look of the likeness of a Targaryen, right? And that's why some people think that because of their incestuous relationship and because of how that is, that's interesting. But I heard someone argue this before, that Mad King Aerys was very promiscuous, and that's in Tyrion's nature, so that's the reason why he's his son. I thought that was kind of funny. I mean, you can't just really say, hey, that one thing makes him, the bastard of Mad King Aerys Targaryen. But that would be interesting if Tyrion was actually a bastard of Aerys and Jon was like legitimate. You know what I mean? The conversation that they had. So I mean, that's what George does. Ice and Fire, the duality of everything in life. It kind of flips everything on its head.
Absolutely. Okay, let's tie up this little bit about the Tyrion being a Targaryen. I think what we've got to is on the show, I don't think they're going to go down that route. I think we're pretty agreed there. There's not really enough time for that huge plot twist. They've not teed it up enough. In the books, there's some quite conflicting evidence. There's some thematic stuff that suggests that maybe he is, but there's also quite a lot of familial resemblance there with Tywin. So it's slightly up in the air, and there's still time for it to come out possibly. So I think that one's a possible, but not on the show. Shall we move on to...
There's a lot of tinfoil theories out there, but that's one I actually think has a possibility of actually working. Some of them, just like the Ashara Dane and Ned stuff. Like, I'm just gonna take whatever you have on that and just burn it. Like don't. That's going up in smoke. Don't even get me started on that stuff. But I think we should move on because I'm gonna anger some people in the chat. I know I will.
I mean, I think this is that actually is something I do want to have a chat with you about at some point.
Oh, I hate that theory more than anything else. We can do it if you want, though. I'm down.
All right. Well, another time. Okay. So this time, however, we're focusing in on Tyrion. So should we just say a few other people have appeared up in the chat? Heart Lady, I've seen has come up. Hi there, Gerrix. Who else has appeared?
Cammy's in there. We had Erin pop in and out. She had to go back to work.
Excellent. Peter the Noble, hi there. Great to see you. PC Gaming, hi again. Sonia, one of my patrons. That's fantastic. Lovely to see people.
Pablo's really cool too. He's always commenting on videos. PC Gaming as well.
Fantastic, great to see you guys. Okay, let's focus back in on Tyrion, and I want to throw um, probably the biggest thing that came out from the last season for Tyrion, the last season of Game of Thrones, because he's sort of underperformed. I didn't like what they did with his character, but there was a lot of theorizing at the end that he had this conversation with Cersei that seemed to be slightly cut off. And then he had that kind of weird look at the door after Jon and Dany sort of went into the bedroom. And a lot of people suddenly went off on this thought that maybe what was going to happen for Tyrion in the last 6 episodes was that he was going to be betraying Dany. He's been the proper right-hand man for her, but he's going to betray her in some way. Why don't you kick us off on that one, Carl? What do you reckon?
Sorry, guys, I'm having coughing fits. The tea went down the wrong pipe. I have actually real mint leaves in there. Here's the way I looked at it. Tyrion is one of the most intelligent people in the Song of Ice and Fire and the Game of Thrones. He's lived a lot personally through his own experience, but he's also seen a lot, right? And I think what was going on there, and a lot of people think that it was actually Tyrion falling in love with Daenerys. That's another thing. Or he had a secret deal with Cersei. I don't think it's either of those things. I think that what he was thinking was, hey, Westeros is a pretty effing dangerous place. And for them to fall in love like that, look at all of the deception and all the betrayal that's already happened within the 7 seasons of the Game of Thrones. I mean, the Red Wedding and all of these different things. Roose got murdered by his own son, and there's all sorts of maneuvering, right? Olenna was in things, and Littlefinger. I think it was just genuine concern that if they got together and people found out about it, that people would try to undermine them. And there's so much going on with the Night King coming over now and them having to deal with that. I think he's just worried that that will complicate things and that their love may end tragically, because who knows? Everyone may just die, you know what I mean, in the end. But I think that it was more of a genuine concern because Tyrion is Jon's friend and he has a deep care for Daenerys. And I think that he was just, them getting together, that's an explosive relationship. It is, because there are 2 people that are very important to the realm. So wait till Tyrion finds out that Jon is Aegon Targaryen. That's going to be, I mean, that's going to be even more interesting. Is he going to have another conversation with Jon and be able to be like, hey, wow, you're actually not a bastard. You know what I mean? Is he going to be able to be the voice of reason there? I think he is. He's such a pragmatic character, and he really, for the most part, other than, temptation in life, he's pretty smart.
I think so. And I think the bit of him being pretty smart is that he, out of all the characters, perhaps with Davos being the other person, has got this real political understanding of what it is, what the people will be thinking in different parts of Westeros. And it's really clear, I think, that the first episode, maybe even the first couple of episodes of season 8, it's going to be focused on the fact that Jon and Dany are going to suddenly arrive at Winterfell with dragons, with a huge invading army. And we've already seen the Northern Lords are not happy that he went down to talk to her in the first place. The idea that she's going to come up and he's going to have bent the knee is going to be a really awkward kind of conversation to have to start with. And then I think Tyrion realizes that if you suddenly get these 2 people who are not only like allies, but he's now effectively suddenly in this relationship with, that is going to make the dynamic incredibly awkward. So I think that what happens there was him suddenly thinking, oh, this is going to get really complicated for me.
Well, and the thing too is that he's pledged to Daenerys, right? But you heard, Rhaegar had an annulment and he got married to Lyanna. So this society where men are dominating, you know what I mean? It's I think Tyrion's worried about that too, how people will perceive that, as well as Daenerys is a conqueror. Look at what she's done over in Essos. Word has spread over to Westeros, and she brings Dothraki with her. You know what I mean? There's that, and there's Ironborn. And so it's people are genuinely concerned because of what happened with her father. That obviously, it's so interesting because of how Daenerys's father has affected her life and how Ned is still like affecting Jon's life from the grave, like giving Jon credence, like the North is supporting Jon and giving him that support because he's Ned Stark's son, or what they believe to be Ned Stark's son. But Daenerys Targaryen, like, she's the Mad King's daughter. So that's something that's incredibly polarizing. And I think that Tyrion's worrying about that as well.
And I'm going to stop you there because we've got another super chat. Karen Richmond, fantastic, says, don't we have enough crap going on without adding relationship drama, asks Tyrion irritably. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think from his perspective, he wants things to go smoothly. He wants the whole, he will already know that Cersei's going to betray them because he knows Cersei, and then they're going to go north, and he's thinking, well, actually, this isn't going to go easily either, is it? So I think if you add another real dynamic that he can't control, then yeah, absolutely, he's going to get a little bit annoyed by that.
Well, think of this too. Look at what happened at the Dragon Pit with all of these people who are in positions of power. The same thing is going to happen in Winterfell. There's more people even added to the equation, we can argue, right? Because of the Northern Lords and stuff like that. And the Northern Lords are definitely not happy that Cersei is Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. Tyrion is a Lannister. Jaime is going to come up there, and Jaime, oh my God, like, how are they going to react to when Jaime gets up there with the Lannister army? There's so many parts that Tyrion is kind of right in the middle of. Like, he's got to defend his brother because his brother let him free and they love each other. And he has an admiration for Daenerys and Jon. So he's kind of stuck in the middle of all of these moving parts, and it's going to be chaotic. It really is.
Absolutely. And what okay, I'm going to put to you now the argument I have that Tyrion might actually betray, because I think that it could have meant anything. But I mean, I think we're right, but I don't think it taught us anything. I think one thing that they teed up was the fact that Varys will probably betray her, but Daenerys. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason why he might, on the show I think the books are obviously still a way behind this, is because if you left Dany alone without the advice that she's been getting from Tyrion and from others, she would have firebombed King's Landing. She would have gone straight in there, and she would have killed many completely innocent people. And I think that if it comes to light quite quickly that the true heir actually is not Dany, it's Jon, then who on earth do you think people who care about the ordinary folk of Westeros, people like Varys or Tyrion, Davos even, who do you think that they're going to be supporting? For me, that is a motive for some people to be switching their support from Daenerys to Jon.
Well, here's the thing, too. Jon has earned everything through merit, despite not knowing his lineage. Daenerys has known all along that she's been royalty. There's a big difference, right? Now, I'm not saying that Daenerys isn't a good person or anything, but she just has this she has this different way of looking things than Jon does. And we like that ice and fire aspect. Like I said, the duality, having these, they're not polar opposites because they have so much in common, but you know what I'm saying? And I think that could be a thing too, right? And I mean, her having dragons and not being the legitimate heir, like, oh, would they be worried about how she would react to having her destiny basically just crumble in front of her? Like, her whole story has been this giant circle of getting back to Westeros to try to reclaim the ancient seat of her house, the Iron Throne. And Jon is just sitting there and, oop, here's the baby. You know what I mean? It's like, it's pretty crazy. I think it's going to go differently than we expect, though, because George always throws a wrench in these kinds of plans. So I think that despite what we may be thinking, there's going to be some sort of twist to it. And you could be right. It could be Varys betraying Daenerys. I mean, in the books, he's supporting who I believe to be Illyrio and Varys' sister's son, Phagon. So maybe Varys could kind of undermine, Daenerys because Jon is Rhaegar's son. Who knows?
Absolutely, and we've had another super chat again. This is from Crips of Winterfell. Says, "I hear it's going to be Samwell and Bran, but I like to think Tyrion will make it a triad. What's your thoughts?" I think this is a reference to, and shout if it's not, but I think this is a reference to who was going to be writing the story at the end, who are going to be the survivors who are actually telling the tale that we've been seeing, and
or is he talking about Jon's lineage? Can you confirm that, Crips of Winterfell? Because I know we've had conversations lately about who's going to be confirming Jon's parentage.
Yeah, so she says, with regards to figuring out how to kill the Night King. Yeah, so I think the thing with Bran is that Bran has got a connection, a sort of a psychic connection with the Night King, and Bran can obviously go back into the past and can see stuff. So yes, Bran clearly has to have some part in that. I think Sam's role has largely been to figure out how to be killing the White Walkers and things like that. I think that's where his main role is. I think Tyrion is, for me, I think he's going to be largely now not involved so much in the battle with the Night King. I think he's going to be part of that group of people, and I would put Sansa among this group. I think Davos to a certain extent, the people who are going to be focusing on Westeros and building the world that comes, not just like figuring out how to kill the baddie, but how to construct a new world.
Cripples, bastards, and broken things, right? Yeah, I think so. I think we're right on the money there. By the way, speaking of money, $130 in donations or 120 so far. Ace, awesome.
I'm blown away, guys.
But you know, that's a great point, Crips. You know, if we look logically at who the most intelligent people are in the series, you could argue that because Bran has seen what he's seen. And because Samuel, what he's seen at the Citadel, and Tyrion through actually complete through actual execution, can also argue Davos is pretty wise though too. So there's wisdom and then there's intellect, which are a little bit different. And I think Tyrion definitely has a lot of both of those, despite being a dick sometimes.
Absolutely,
he's one of my favorites. Okay, so, he's in my top 5 favorite characters.
Who Tyrion is? He's in my top 1. I think. Okay, I'm really tempted now to ask who the other 4 are in your top. That's a complete distraction. Okay, so shall we sort of wrap up that bit there in terms of the potential betrayal? I think in the books it's still too far away for us to be thinking about. On the show, I think we see that there's a possibility. I think that you could read too much into that look that he gave and the sort of the conversation with Cersei. I think there's a little bit too much. I don't think there's any chance at all that he's going to betray her to Cersei. But there's a chance that if he is faced with the possibility between supporting Daenerys and supporting Jon, who may have a better claim and is less likely to be killing innocent people, then he might well be tempted to go with Jon.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Varys is the most likely possible candidate to actually betray Daenerys. I don't think Tyrion ever would. I can't see that. Even if people are pointing to the conversation with Cersei, that's a big point. I just can't see it. If she went mad, I don't think Tyrion would be the one killing her anyways. I think it would be someone like Jon, you know. It would have to be something very, very tragic, something like that. That would mirror Cersei and Jaime.
Yeah, I mean, I did a video ages ago which was incredibly long and complicated and led me to the conclusion that Jon will kill Daenerys. I don't know whether that's entirely true, but that was.
I think he's going to. I think he's going to, but I think that they're going to have to figure out that since Daenerys is the unburnt for the show purposes, anyways, that Jon's going to have to put his sword in her. Not the sword he really wants to put in there, unfortunately. You cheeky bugger.
Mind out of the gutter, please. Come on. Okay, so let's wrap up that one. I just want to say just a few quick things just to let you guys know what's going on my channel over the course of the next couple of weeks. As always, there's going to be a new Westworld video coming out every Tuesday from now until season 2. I'm really getting into that. I'm really getting quite excited about season 2. I think it's going to be excellent. They've finished filming it now, so it's just a countdown to when it's going to happen. My Traveler's Guide to Westeros, we're still in Winterfell. We've got a couple more to do on Winterfell. Then I think we may head up to the Wall after that. As for the theory videos, I've got one. I trailed it a little bit on Twitter, but I had this complete brainstorm about what on earth Euron is up to in the books. And I think it's confused me for a long, long time, but I just suddenly had this idea that just seems to fit everything that I've seen so far. So that's probably going to take a couple of videos, probably the next couple of Saturdays to work my way through that one. And on Patreon, first of all, can I just say, if you are my patron, and I've seen quite a few of you there in the chat, thank you so much. This really is, it's not possible to do this, and I'm sure Carl would say the same. It's not possible to do this without the support from patrons. It's a wonderful thing. And I've got a new recording from the Winds of Winter. As you know, I'm doing audio narrations of the chapters, the pre-release chapters from the Winds of Winter. The next one is going to be Victarion, who's a show character, but he's a fantastic character, really interesting. That'll be coming up in a couple of weeks. And some new benefits I'm going to roll out for my $10 patrons. Some extra things I'm going to roll out in the next few days. So that's what's happening. Kyle, did you just want to let people know what you're up to, what to look out for?
Yeah, I'm going to share. Let's do a screen share here real quick and kind of just show everyone my YouTube page. I've been doing a bunch of different videos. I did a vlog today with my camera, and I've been doing some different videos. I got a Psychology of Thrones, which is a new series from me, and one called Game of Thrones Rewind, where I go back into episodes from past seasons and I break down certain scenes to kind of foreshadow or pull out the clues from an episode and kind of see where we're going from that. Psychology of Thrones. I'm actually going to be doing an episode on Cersei Lannister this weekend and talking about how she's sociopathic and kind of breaking her down. But I've been doing Azor Ahype theory videos, and me and Gemma have the podcast. We are going to be doing another episode this week, and it's going to be out on Monday and Tuesday. We're going to be breaking down the Forsaken chapter. So a lot of stuff really going on. I don't know. Could everybody see my YouTube page when I was doing that? I couldn't remember.
I can see it.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, just a lot of videos. I'm trying to pump out daily content. 7 videos a week. It's hard. It's tiring, but I'm having an absolute blast doing it. So yeah. And then for Patreon, we're doing bonus content from the podcast, and I'm doing bonus content like early script access and early access to videos, stuff like that. So thank you so much for having me, Robert.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Shall we get back into Tyrion? And I wanted to throw a couple of other random theories at you. So just a couple of quick answers, perhaps. First of all, and I saw this first, always try to say if I see stuff that other people have done that I recognize, always try and credit them for it. It was on Alt-Shift-X. He did a great video about, is Tyrion going to have his tongue cut out? And I don't know whether you've seen this, but it was a really well put together video, and I recommend you go see it. But it picks together the amount of times during the books that people say to him, you're such a clever talker, such amazing words, you better watch it, nobody cuts your tongue out. And it's like 5 or 6 times people say this to him, which is, again, seems more than a coincidence. And then there's this other thing about the Lannisters. They lose the thing that gives them their self-identity. So Jaime has lost the use of his right hand. His identity was about the fact that he was a great swordsman. Cersei slowly is losing her beauty. She gets older, and that's a big thing for her. Tyrion, it's always been about his mind and his quick wit and what he can say. So, quickly, what do you make of that?
Well, there's some foreshadowing in the Forsaken chapter with Euron and that. So I think that Tyrion lost his nose in the books, or part of his nose anyways, and he's disfigured. He's already pretty gnarly looking, unfortunately. Do I think it's possible that Euron cuts out his tongue in the show? I don't think so. In the books, it's definitely possible. I don't see it happening though. I just don't. I don't think that George. I don't think that George will talk away the best talker. Basically, talkers make me thirsty. I don't know. He won't take away Tyrion's tongue. I just don't think so.
I think if he does, it's right at the end. This is one of those ones that I really, really hope isn't right, because he does come out with the best lines, particularly in the books and in the show in the first few series. That's the only reason that makes me think that it might happen, is that it's just if he really wants to just do horrible things to us, he will take away the best bit of what Tyrion himself thinks he is. So yeah, okay.
Isn't that why this story is the best story? Because there's like legitimately so many different ways we can go. I mean, we need the books though, George. Get us the damn books.
I just think he's gonna. Okay, a complete digression away from the point. I'm just convinced that his next book is going to be so thick, he's going to break it into 2, and he's going to have a big announcement after season 8 happens. He's going to release his next book, but he's going to say this is the Winds of Winter Part 1, and then we're all going to get halfway through it, and then we're going to hate him again. I've just got this horrible feeling.
One second while I make myself puke. It's not even that bad for me because I'm young. But the people that are like getting up there in age, like I feel bad. Like there's legitimately a fan that reached out to me. I can't remember how old she is, but bless her soul, she's like 70 or something, or 74. I can't remember her exact age. But like she's like, I need the books, please. Like she's like legitimately concerned that she's gonna pass away before she knows the end of the series. I don't know, man. That'd be rough.
That would be horrible. So Crypt, another super chat. Thank you so much.
Jumped like 50 on you today. That's
amazing.
Insane.
Okay, another quick one for you. Will Tyrion remarry Sansa? Yes or no?
If Tyrion is king in the end, Sansa's going to be there with him. I think.
Absolutely.
I think that the lines "I'll never hurt you" were very important. And Lady Stark, you might outlive us yet. Or something. You know, I think I was along those lines. I don't think I'm saying it exactly correctly. And my Brit voice is not great. So,
well, that's fine. Peter Dinklage is a little bit wobbly sometimes as well. You're fine.
But I mock Gem all the time, and it's pretty good. But yeah, I think yes. I think that's, and you know what? They're such an odd couple too. And Sansa will have learned through all of that tragic. All of her tragic relationships that Tyrion is just right for her. You know what I mean? Despite his appearance, that doesn't matter.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think you're entirely right. I think if there's Tyrion and Sansa ruling in some way, then they're going to be together. I can certainly see that. I think that the big thing there is the history thing from the Wars of the Roses, where you get the York family and the Lancaster family. That was ended by bringing together the heir of both of those families, and you can certainly see that we could end up in the heir of the Stark family and in the heir of the Lannister family being those two coming together to.
If it's the War of the Roses, it's 100% Tyrion and Sansa.
Yeah,
people absolutely don't like to hear that.
So.
I was getting into it with someone earlier. They were hating on Sansa, and it was based off a video I made yesterday and some season 8 news. I'm not going to spoil anything, but they're just like crapping on Sansa, and I'm like, oh my god, like you guys don't understand how much of a boss she's going to be by the end of the story.
She's already getting there, and you can see it in the books as much as you can in the show, that she's just starting to learn. The people that she's had teaching her, it's I know there are some Sansa.
It's toast, man. Yeah. That guy's going to be 100% manipulated, like he's done for. She's going to take. I bet you Littlefinger gets kicked out of the Moon Door by Sansa or someone else, and that's how she takes over the Vale. I wouldn't be surprised if she takes over the Vale.
Yeah, she might do, but I think they will end up going with the Knights of the Vale up to Winterfell, as happened there. Whether or not Littlefinger dies in the Vale or whether it's when he gets up to Winterfell, I don't know. But yeah. I think definitely that's how those storylines are going to come back together on the show and in the books, is that she is going to come up north with the Knights of the Vale. Okay, so let's get on to where we sort of started on this one. So with all of that kind of thoughts, theories about Tyrion, do we think he's going to survive? Where, or more precisely, what do we think the end game is for Tyrion? What happens between where he is now and the final shots of season 8? What do you reckon, Carl?
Well, he's going to be instrumental in whoever is going to get into King's Landing to take care of Cersei. Clegane Bowl is going to go down. He's not going to be part of that, but he's going to be instrumental in getting people into King's Landing, because if Varys goes down, Tyrion definitely knows King's Landing pretty well. I think he 1,000% survives. That's 10 times 100% people. Yes, I think there's no way he doesn't survive the series. He's going to be. I think there's going to be there's going to be some sort of council, almost like the Knights of the Round Table in the end, where they try to achieve some sort of meritocracy, or at least discuss it. And I think there will be 7 people at the table, maybe like the Faith of the Seven. And I think Tyrion will be right there. He'll be one of the 2 or 3 most important people in the end of the series. If Jon and Dany happen to survive, he's going to be just as important as they are, and that will be. And if one of them survives, they will tell that to Tyrion, and he will finally have felt like he's made it. You know what I mean? But if that doesn't happen, I think that he and Sansa are going to raise Jon and child. I think those are the 2 scenarios for Tyrion. He's going to be involved in. You know what could happen? I could see a flash forward with Tyrion, maybe. Through Bran's perspective, because a lot of people think that Bran is going to be the last point of view that we're going to see in the books. I could see Bran. We get that last scene and get that little dream of spring, that things are changed, the wheel is broken a little bit, and Tyrion's part of that.
Yeah, I can't see, particularly in the books, I can't see anything that looks like the last chapter of Harry Potter, if you read that, or like saw it on the movies, when you get the 20 years later, then the children have grown up kind of thing. I mean, I can't see that.
I'm not saying 20 years later. I'm saying like a year later or something like that. I don't know. Something like that.
I mean, I think it'll be left quite open-ended. I think that it's entirely possible that we might have a last scene of Sam or whoever starting to write the stories, or it could be a discovery somewhere of some more dragon eggs or something along there that shows, you know, these things are going to go in cycles, or the rest of it. But as for Tyrion, I think I agree with you. I think he will survive. I think he is one of the cripples, bastards, and broken things who will survive. I think that there is a chance he could be king. If he is king, as you say, it's going to be with Sansa. I could certainly imagine that. But I am more and more coming around to this conclusion that the right ending to this is the Iron Throne itself. The thing that they were fighting over for so long is just done away with. I think that if it is done away with, then we're going to have some sort of council. And Tyrion has to be part of that council. So I think that he is going to end up in some way one of the few characters who sort of wins in a way. He's going to be in the place that he ought to be as a result of all of this.
I like when you say winning, I kind of agree with you. It won't be like looked upon as winning because so much will have been lost at this point, but like almost like he's made it, like where he's like, oh, like I'm finally accepted almost. What I mean, because he's important. Yeah, I don't know. I love to disagree with you, Robert, because we have these debates. I do it just for fun because it creates such a great conversation. But Tyrion, yeah, he's super important to the game. I think that he's going to be one of the people with that name, I think, or somewhat.
Okay, so I think we're starting to wrap that one up, to come to an end. Any other thoughts you've got? I know you, when we were chatting about this beforehand, you were having some thoughts about Tyrion. Is there anything else you want to sort of throw in there about Tyrion that might blow our minds?
Ooh, some tinfoil?
I'd love a bit of tinfoil.
He's definitely not the Valonqar. I think that he's not the Valonqar.
He's not.
I don't know. I think Chris might be onto something actually to do with Sam and Bran. I think that he's. I think all of the really smart people. I think Davos, Davos, Tyrion, Bran, and Sam can all get together, and they're going to be a foursome to be reckoned with. You get it? I think we're going to.
Absolutely. And I see a couple of comments coming through, sort of asking about whether Tyrion and Jaime, both being younger brothers, may have a hand in killing Cersei. I think you're right that I don't see him as the Valonqar. I think that's because Cersei sees him as it, and I think the point there is that is what is driving the action. It is Cersei's belief, not the fact that it actually is Tyrion. For me, I think it's. Go on.
Well, a lot of the Valonqar theory has to do with birth, right? And Tyrion killed Joanna in childbirth, so like Cersei always thinks back to what Tyrion killing Joanna, and she thinks that's like an interpretation. At least that's the way I kind of look at it. But she's, I mean, because of Tyrion's appearance and because he did kill Joanna, that's why she's so rude to him all the time and hateful.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right, but I think that the point in terms of who's going to, and we're all assuming someone's going to kill Cersei, we have to leave open the option that no one will, because again, I say this quite a lot. But if we're going to have a bittersweet ending, that means some of the people that we don't like will survive. This isn't just going to be all the heroes surviving and all the characters we don't like dying. Some of the characters we don't like will survive. That said, I think Cersei probably will die, but I think that it will
probably. Come on, Robert. Let me twist your arm on this one. She's a goner, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I think she's going, but I think some of the characters like... I don't know. Maybe Euron might survive, for example. I could certainly see that as a possibility. But Cersei, I think the people who finally do away with her will be some combination of Arya and Jaime. Now, I completely I could see it happening that it is Arya wearing Jaime's face. I could certainly imagine that. And the reason why I could imagine that is who is Cersei going to allow into close proximity with her? Jaime, I think, is the main person. She's got the mountain there. I think that there will be, obviously, the mountain is also on Arya's list, so she'll be going there. I don't want to get into the whole game bowl thing, but obviously Sandor's going to be involved somewhere along this. But I think that it would be the right end for Jaime's character arc for him to be killing Cersei at the end, and I think Arya is definitely wanting to. So it's going to be some combination of them two.
Yeah, definitely. I think Tyrion's going to be instrumental in a lot of things in the end. He has his hand kind of everywhere. His hand in the honey jar. Will we hear the end of that joke too? That's the question that people have been asking me lately.
No.
Can I drop some tinfoil on this? Okay.
I'd love you to.
A honeycomb and a jackass walk into a bar. That's the joke, right?
Yeah.
So a honeycomb is sweet and a jackass is bitter. Does that mean the joke has a bittersweet ending? Hey.
Come on.
I'm sorry, everyone. I had to drop that.
Okay, well, it's been great having Kyle on, everyone.
It's time to end this thing.
Well, we are coming up to the end of the hour. If there's any other sort of things you want us to be picking up on, just put them out in the comments. Let's just do another quick flick through, see some people who are here. So do just shout out if you want a quick shout out as well. Who's there? Scott McCloy. Hi, how are you doing? Jerry, indeed. Hi, great to see you. Lots of other people. Hey guys, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on. I'm getting old. Here we go. Dwayne Sharp, Mara Jade Starwalker, Funny Sturst. Can never pronounce that. I will one day, I promise you. Who else have we got? Katie and Matt of the Knobs. Great to see you too. Anyone else out here that you want to give a shout out to, Carl?
Sorry, I was muting myself. There was some noise in the background.
Not a problem.
we Travis isn't we named Travis earlier. We got
Absolutely.
Mike Armentrout. I mean, there's I see a bunch of people from my channel too, and that's awesome. That's the cool thing, right? That's what the cool thing about the community, man, is like we both kind of have the same fans, despite you being like super way more studious than I am and knowledgeable about the books and me kind of about the show.
Absolutely. I just noticed one of my favorite comments.
Robert, we have Jack and Hagar in the chat. Everyone beware.
Jar indeed says Robert is the wizard, which I never quite understand, but I love it. Okay, guys, are there any other comments here to pick up on? Cersei could end up getting exiled, suggests Crypts. That's an interesting one. Not really thought about that. I think there are too many people who want her dead. Personally, I think that's the reason why I think that she might die rather than be exiled or something. I think Arya would follow her to the ends of the earth in order to kill her because she's on her list. So no, I personally, she may be exiled, but I don't think she'll survive it. Who else have we got?
Yeah, there's a theory that Cersei might become the Night Queen and go beyond the wall and all that. I don't see that happening. Like that's kind of an exile in itself. I don't see that happening.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, I think we're starting to come to an end now. I can see a few people signing off. It's starting to get a bit late on this side of the Atlantic. Kyle, can I just say thank you so much? As always, an amazing guest, some great chat. Love the comments and great thoughts on Tyrion. Is there anything you just want to sign off? Let people, if there's anyone who doesn't know who you are, do you want to just tell them where to find you on the internet?
Yes, yeah. So I'm Kyle. You guys know me as Azor Ahype, or some of you don't know me. I'm Kyle Azor Ahype. I have a YouTube channel where I do, comparative analysis. I do theory videos. I do live streams. I do live streams once a week, which is really fun. And that's I'm kind of bugging Rob to start doing it on his channel so he can kind of, interact with his fans more. But yeah, I'm a Game of Thrones and a Song of Ice and Fire junkie like Robert. I love Star Wars and Marvel and all that sort of stuff. So I'll be expanding the channel a little bit later on. But you can find me at Azor Ahype on YouTube. I upload daily content. And yeah, I thank you so much for joining me. I love doing this.
Absolute pleasure. Okay, thank you so much, Azor Ahype, Kyle, and thank you everyone in the chats. Great, particular thanks for the super chats. That's really that's it's blown me away today. And I'm going to be doing another live stream next Thursday, I think. So keep an eye out for that one. Okay, guys, it's been amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks, Carl, and I shall see you again soon.